We are back with another indie review, and that is All Things Lost by D.L. Bunch. I discovered this during the CL Canon Book Fair. It came out of one of my many Will It TBR videos, and this is a post-apocalyptic science fiction, kind of dystopian. It's like kind of Mad Maxy in a way, but also not. I think just the post-apocalyptic part is where I'm really putting the Mad Max, and like the cover art kind of gave me that vibe, but this is an interesting book. I didn't totally enjoy this one. I was disconnected a little bit, so I did end up giving this one 3 stars, but I do think it has a lot of merit to it. I might just not be the best audience for it, since I'm more of, you know, a fantasy girly, and I don't really like things involving the military, but that's what this is. So we actually have 2 timelines. We have the timelines of basically the parents of the girl who's the second timeline. And they are scientists. There's like a professor-student situation, and in this timeline is when we get the actual like ending of the world situation with international warfare that has happened, and people are now separated into certain areas, and I believe they're in Washington if memory serves, and they're kind of sequestered there. They hold a lot of the resources, and so outer areas are always trying to, you know, get in and try to get supplies and things, but they're very closed off. There are secrets abound, and there's creepy things happening that you don't totally get a resolution with until the end, which it does connect, because at first, from the beginning half, I was like, where is this going? It does go somewhere. It does connect. Stick with it if you want to understand it. The problem for me was there were so many characters, and normally I love tons and tons and tons of characters and stuff. But this one, I didn't spend enough time with each of them to fully connect, and the jumping timeline had me a little bit confused for a while. Granted, I also might not have been in the best headspace. I was very, very busy. I was rush reading a lot of stuff, so it could have been that case, but you know, I read other books at the same time that I was more invested in, so I don't know. It's just like not for me totally. I did like there's a lot of good different things that happened in this. I thought banter, great banter. There was really great, especially in the current timeline versus the past timeline, was very good. I would have liked to actually see a little bit more of the downfall of the world. And granted, you still see it, but you see it more on an interpersonal level versus a bigger, like how things actually collapse level. But it was still very enjoyable, and I just really liked the banter between our 2 main characters in the modern timeline. If we had really just stuck with that modern timeline, I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more. We could still have reveals of what happened in the past, but less of it back and forth, because there was like so many friends of the main character in that timeline that I just could not keep people straight. I was very confused by that. Also, there is an animal death in this one, and that is unfortunate. I didn't like that part. It was undeserved because it was a doggo, and if you know me, you know that I don't like books that do that, or any movies that do that. I don't like that, because they are the best things in the world, and we as humans do not deserve them. Yeah, so my battery's gonna die 1 second. Welcome back. Okay, I forget what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so we had animal unaliving, unfortunately, in this. There's a few times of it, but I was more bonded with the doggo than I was the random animals in the beginning. I did like the twist of how things were, because that was the thing that confused me the most in the modern timeline, was the situation with our main characters' parents and why things were split up for them, why they weren't totally working together, and there was a betrayal. I didn't really feel anything for that betrayal, just because I don't feel like I recognized who that character was when there was a betrayal happening. Yeah, so I just think I would have liked a little bit longer of a book to fully immerse myself in the world building, both in like the downfall of the world and the new setup of how this new world is. There is some things, but I still wanted more. I have questions. So that's kind of where I stood with this one. I don't really have much more to say. I do think if you are more of a fan of this genre, the post-apocalyptic genre with a heavy military aspect, because there is kind of this chain of command, you know, following orders situation that just for me is not my thing. There's very rare that you're going to get me to like a book that stars military characters. It's not for me. But I do think that there are plentiful supply of people who would enjoy this book much more than I would. So unfortunately, I will not be continuing the series, but check it out if it sounds like something up your alley. More so if you like a little bit more of the science, a little more of the military, and a little more of the post-apocalyptic, then it's for you. Otherwise, it was a 3-star from me. Okay, bye.